call the Finance Committee meeting to order. It's a little bit after, it's a good bit after 10.
Would you pull your mic down a little bit?
There you go.
Okay. I'm a little stuffy anyway. But we will now call this meeting to order and welcome all of you to the meeting. If I could get an adoption of the agenda.
So move. Second.
It's been moved and second that we adopt the agenda as written. All in favor, let it be known by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. June 7th, 2023 minutes. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Is that
Second.
second? It's been moved and properly second that we approve the minutes of our June 7th, 2023 meeting. We're down to item 4, new business, 2024, 2025 general fund budget overview. Ms. Stanley, we'll ask you to take us through that.
Okay, all righty. Everybody should have a copy of the budget. And if you could just kind of, this is pretty much the first one, and it's very preliminary. We just take, this is basically what I would call my baseline, and we just start from this and go forward. But this budget does include the retirement 1% increase that the employer cost. So it does, we have implemented that in there. Now, it doesn't include anything with the insurance other than the adjustments that I've made where employees have increased or, and whenever they went through open enrollment, if they've added or deducted or whatever, or new employees coming on that might have more insurance or might have less, just adjustments of that. That's in this budget. But now I did get, I don't know if any of you noticed on the Friday report that they're saying that the correspondence that they're looking at, the committee was looking at funding an 11.8 employer rate increase for January.
That's insurance?
Yes. And it's a no employee rate. Now that, it's not set in stone, but this was on the Friday report from February 27th. So, I mean, that'd be, I hadn't even started. But now last year and I read somewhere, and it might be on this one right here, where they were talking about funding the 3.7 increase right here. This was on the February 23rd Friday report, that the Ways and Means they were looking at new items to cover the state share of the projected 3.7 increase in the insurance premiums from the state plan. But now I don't know, I got to research that, because is that talking simply where that's just for the state employees, or if that's going to, feed over to us? And my first thought was, okay, are they going to give us funding just like, I don't know if you'll remember, it's been like 5 years ago where the retirement went up 2%, but they took and funded. They absorbed that 1%, and they give us that every year on our first quarter retirement. I'm wondering if that's what they're talking about there. I don't know. I've got to find out. But I did see that. So I just want to let you know that, that this does not include what we're going to be faced with on the insurance, because they're still, debating that. And if you'll notice that the items in the footnotes that's written in red are the items that's up for discussion for council, for y'all to discuss and make some decisions on. The items that's in the footnotes in the budget that's written in black, is adjustments that that staffs went through and made, just like, utilities, or if any departments have got a new copier or anything, anything that had to be increased or decreased. And then, of course, the items that I have highlighted in yellow are the state items and et cetera that I'm waiting for the updates to come in. And the budgets are due back from the departments tomorrow, matter of fact. So once we get them back, I'll make everybody a booklet and of all the departmental requests. Now, I have received two, and I've made notes on those two departments within this budget for you. They're not, pretty much not asking for anything. Let's see, you know, and I'm still waiting on the CPI. We'll be getting that sometime this month. And then the one thing I wanted to, you know, to bring your attention, I know I've mentioned to a couple of you about the E911 funds. It's been my concern for like the last year that this E911 fund is kind of like the victim's advocate. It has been depleting. And I've been speaking with the emergency preparedness director, letting him know, you know, y'all need to really watch your monies that you're spending out of this, and it needs to be necessity. Well, on top of all of that, we just discovered that the state now is fixing to change the 80% reimbursable. They're fixing to decrease that. And then for next fiscal year, they're not going to fund 80% on a lot of the stuff anymore. One thing that I can tell you right off the top of my head, because I sat in on a meeting they had last week, or it might have been 2 weeks ago, but I sat in on a webinar and one of their meetings, and they were talking about it. That's why I wanted to hear what they had to say. And one of the things, like our language line, which is the translator, we get 80% back. They're going to stop funding that, which that's not a big expense to our county, but we do have some expense. So that's where in the past, we've been getting 80% back. We're not going to get nothing back on that. So that's going to be what you would call a true cost to the county. And so some of the items that they're not going to fund. So I told Chad, I said, we got to, you know, really look at E911 this year. And I've got it in here, and what I've done was I've went through the expenditures and of what the necessities, you know, just the water, the electricity, that's what I've got implemented in here. And so I'm going through with him to see, because that's, you know, we only need to have necessities in there. We don't have any cushion in there anymore. So I just wanted to go ahead and bring it to y'all's attention on that.
One of the things that's always irked the hell out of me, and I imagine it irks y'all too, but one thing that's always irked me so bad is the fact that the state creates new programs, funds them to make themselves look good, and they turn around and no, they don't raise taxes. They force the counties to do it, and that's, I mean, I know they're doing what they think they need to do, but anyway.
Yeah, well, another thing is it's hit us on E911, is some of these, the wireless, and just like, you know, a lot of people don't have landlines anymore. So that's where we've lost some of our monies, is on the, you know, landlines, because that's where some of the E911 money comes in. So it's just like, you know, it's just a snowball effect, and it's hitting that fund, where we've always been able to say that fund has been self-supporting. It's pretty much like the road department. You're going to have to do a transfer now.
That's nothing unusual for that department.
Yeah,
Don't we get revenue off the cell phones too?
yes, mm-hmm.
And they're getting more and more, I mean, you see second graders with cell phones.
Yeah, and another thing that I heard in the meeting was they said that there were some of the counties that I think you can charge $1 per cell phone, and they said that some of the counties wasn't utilizing the total amount, so that's one of the notes that I hadn't had a chance to get with Chad and them yet, to make sure that we are utilizing and putting the most that we can on ours. So I guess, you know, the next thing, if you would like to just start going through it, if you can just, like, you know, page 4, you can see the local government and the rural stabilization. You know, of course, I'm waiting on that.
Could be more, could be less.
Yes. And then page 6, just like this is the revenue line items. This is our departmental revenue line items. If you look halfway down where you see the first red item highlighted, it's the industrial appreciation donations. I just, you know, we haven't done that, an industrial appreciation the last couple of years. So that's just, I was just, you know, questioning, okay, do we still need to keep money funded there? Are we going to continue to do that? Or start it back up, not continue, excuse me.
You know, one thing that we've heard at these conferences, not only do you want to attract new businesses to come in, but you want to let the businesses that we do have know that we appreciate them.
Yep.
And although we haven't done that last year, the last couple of years, I think we need to keep it and hopefully get started on it.
That's what, whenever I mentioned it to Mr. Eubanks, I told him I had put a note in there for you all, and that's what he was mentioning, that, you know, he thought it was a good thing, that, you know, we really should start that back up for our existing industries, because it really worked well.
Well, actually, it was done in default, Ms. Burns, because of COVID, if I remember correctly. That's the reason we did not have.
And now that we don't have, the Economic Development Committee anymore, you know, we had talked about different ways that could look, you know, how to appreciate existing industries. And so I think, I agree. I know I'm not on the committee, but I think it's real important that we make sure that our existing industry know how important they are to us, like Ms. Burns said.
The next items, you know, because that's what I was trying to look at this year, is items that we have not either generated money on, that's just been sitting there, or, you know, expense that we have not expended. I'm just kind of, you know, taking a jab at all that. And just like with these animal service fines, you know, that goes to the magistrate court, we haven't pretty much gotten any fine money in. So do we want to continue to fund, you know, revenue there? And then also with our spay and neuter program, are we going to start that back up? Because I've got a revenue line item set up and, you know, of course, an expense. And I got some questions about, you'll see on the expense side once we get down to the animal shelter expense. I know, you know, when we questioned a couple of years ago about the fines, there was some discussion with the magistrate's court on that.
Madam Chairman, if I may. Mr. Allen, can I put you on the spot? Sure. Okay, now, I think Judge Gray handles the animal cases, am I correct? Judge Patrick, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. But, are we not prosecuting these cases, or?
Yes, sir.
Being settled out of court, or?
No, they're being prosecuted.
Sir?
They're being prosecuted.
Okay, and there is fines being collected?
There's fines being levied. I cannot tell you what's being collected.
Okay, well, we can get that through the treasurer's office. You used to have a monthly report, fines from the treasurer's office, from the magistrates. I think that's mandatory, but I hadn't seen it in quite some time. Thank you, Mr. Allen.
Okay, and then I think we've pretty much already discussed about the McBee and Chesterfield.
So we're going back, we're going to start the spray and neuter back.
I think it's a good thing. I had a lot of people inquiring about it. The problem's been, they've been so crowded and so overpopulated that it's kind of took precedence and kind of been pushed back. So I'm hoping we get a better handle on the numbers, and I feel like has been a successful thing that y'all done with that over the past years, if we can get back doing it.
Once you take care of that problem, you won't have a problem with that animal anymore. And I think it's a good program, which you've got some good animal owners and you got some sorry animal owners. So just let them run and wild and do what animals do.
And it's just like people.
Just like people? I'm afraid I done got too old to do much running anymore. I forgot this thing was broadcasted.
Makes it funnier.
Okay, so the next item that I had highlighted red is on page 17, which is the probate, and this is one of the department that has already turned in their budget request. And the only thing is she's requesting $4,500 for shelving for her file room. She's run out of space, and she's just requesting to be able to purchase that.
All right.
And then, okay,
We got some.
Yeah, and, you know, she's one that, she only requests things she
Well, I
really needs.
guarantee
exactly, yeah,
He has saved us a bunch of money in the past, too.
yeah. So I didn't know if y'all wanted to go ahead and approve that, or if you just wanted to wait until you start working on the other departments or what, you know, but I did want to go ahead and put that in there since I already had her budget request back.
I'd say let's do all the
I
departments.
do too. I think it'd be fair.
Yep.
Get all the information in.
And then, you know, then page 18, which is the magistrate, you know, he turned his in and there was nothing. He wasn't requesting anything other than, of course, salaries, and, you know, we always do that towards the end. And moving right along, but like I said, you know, there's not a whole lot because this is the very first preliminary. Now, on page 26, I know we've already had some discussion about this. This is in the IT department, the website. You know, I got it highlighted there. You know, our plans with the website.
Because he said that he could do it.
Yes,
We would
ma'am.
have to
Ye-
compensate him for that, so what would be the?
Yes, ma'am.
What's the difference? Or do we have that number yet?
We've got that, I don't know that being personnel, I don't know if we need to take that up at a later, down the road, but we've got that figured out.
Is it the same, we would have the same website and he would just, or
It would be
he would?
Yeah,
build a
basi-
new one?
Our website,
He would build, okay.
Yeah, basically, he'll be building a new one, yeah, and it'll be housed in-house.
Now, this would be the county website.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Because economic development also has a website, which is different than this. Would it be a possibility to combine the two? You know, maybe have a
And I
link.
think he'll have it to where you can link right to each one of them. If I'm no IT guy by no means, but I think he'll have it in the way that whatever you wanna see, you can click on it, and if it's their own website, it'll take you to their website off of ours.
Okay, but this
So
is
we're-
just him developing, designing, updating, keeping it up,
That's right.
the county's website.
That's correct.
But right now, we're spending 30,000 a year to keep that up?
Is that right?
No, that's the other cost in there. It's just, it's like $12,000. Yeah, it's $2,900 a quarter, yes.
Okay,
Yes. Yeah, you got other cost in there, yeah. Okay, so page 28. And of course, I'm feel for sure that this is probably you're gonna say that this goes with, personnel. But whenever I was going through this department, I just thought about, okay, if you remember, last year, we went ahead and put in the budget for those 4 slots for the detention center. But, you know, with the knowledge of that, we were waiting on that study to come back, and we wouldn't fund them unless we had to. Well, it came back, and I got my notes here. And it did, because actually, when the case study come back, and we pretty much had 8 more. It was for these 4, and then 4 more that we hadn't even funded. But with that being said, the sheriff's never, filled these slots. So they've sat there all year. So that was my question. Okay, do we continue, one, do we bite the bullet and do we fund them? Or, just leave it in there and for him to use, or do we just go ahead and take them back? I don't know.
So we have the funding that's been sitting there for 4.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
not The addition
Yeah.
of 4 slots. And so he never,
He's never filled it. He's never, utilized the requirement or whatever, I don't know exactly how you want to word it, where he had to hire those. He's never utilized those 4 slots. He's left them sitting there. So, do we want to just leave them there available to have?
would say, we know the study,
Mm-hmm.
we know that we needed to allocate at least those 4 slots, plus 4 additional.
Yes.
I would say, we need to leave these
Okay.
4 slots there.
That's why I just want to make sure that, we're on the same page.
It's not gonna affect the budget either.
No, no, mm-mm.
That's the good thing.
They're there if he decides to utilize them.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and then, the next line item is the Southern Health contract. As you know, we've been over the population, so I've increased it because it goes up 3% every year. So I've got the increase to cover that, but I do not have an increase in because of where it goes over the population and they come back and bill us for the amount that the inmates over each amount over the population for, each month. I didn't know, are we continuing to try to get these numbers down? Or do we need to, just let it go and it's gonna end up being over budget? But let's see, I've got,
Or as soon as you can do so, rebid it for a new number that will seem to be hanging around.
so just like I made notes, it's 70 inmates and the per diem is 1.41. The new contract is 191,122. Last physical year it was 185. The population invoice for the overage last physical year was $21,004.79. As of January this year, it's already at $21,869. So that's why I made a footnote to myself, do we just bite the bullet and increase the population on the upcoming contract?
Is that number 70 even? What was the number?
70, and so,
You know what we've been running around, so anything over 70 is
Nowhere
additional.
near.
I mean,
I'd like to speak to that if I may, Ms. Burns. We made an investment last year to bring these numbers down. We allocated these funds. Mr. Eubanks, and I know they come and go on a daily basis over there. That's something you can't control. But have you seen any improvement with our investment? Yet it's not been a year yet, but that may be something we want to talk about. And we talked about it when we first allocated the funds, that if it didn't perform, we may have to go a different route.
I can tell you what I've seen myself is when we're having court, the amount of inmates that come through are a good bit. The problem I see is the amount of court that we're getting. I think if we didn't have the person in place that we've got now, the employee that y'all put in place last year, I think the numbers would be a whole lot worse, because what I do see, when we do get general session, in the small amount of time that the judge is there, there's a lot of inmates run through, or inmates run through in that small amount of time. Now, the amount of time is the issue I'm seeing, that we're getting a judge sitting at the bench.
Well, with no more court than we're allocated by the state, they ought to be there as long as it takes every day, in my opinion, to move these cases through. I know there's a lot of inner workings in that, but I'd like to see more cases completed if there's any way possible. Who is the new administrative judge now?
For general sessions, it's, I believe, a judge from Sumter, that I'm not familiar with, a Judge Griffin, I believe.
Griffin? Okay. Now, what was this we had this week? Was that civil or criminal?
This week is general session,
This week's general session.
but I know the last 2 days, they've started at 2:00. And yesterday, it was a Dillon case that they saw. They moved a case over here to see it from Dillon. I think it's Dillon.
I don't quite understand that, which I'm ignorant to the fact anyway of how it all works, but it's killing this county, the cost of what these inmates are costing us. Plus, the longer they stay in there, they get bored, the more they tear up. And
That's my
I would-
next thing.
I would ask that, and I appreciate getting the report every week of the jail over there, but I need her, for my information, and hopefully for all of us' sake, the number of days that inmate has been in there. That's not on there. If it is, I haven't seen.
Sends it
She
sometimes, and then
but
sometimes.
it's not as regular as just the daily numbers, but I do get that report.
Okay.
We have
It's not
100
regular
today.
Every week.
After having court, we have 100 today.
Yeah, it's,
That's it.
it averages around 100.
I've seen it like down to in the upper 70s, but I guess that might be when we have general sessions. I don't know, but it's usually around a 95 to 105.
Been 95 from my experience most of the time.
But I mean, there's some been over there 2 years or longer, 3. I don't get it.
It's a system that we can't police.
Yes.
It is a system that we cannot police.
Okay.
I got a question. I know you said something about we started at 2:00 yesterday, but then we started it with something they'd moved over from Dillon, which I understand that, but, I mean, did we get anything done Monday? And I'm asking because I don't know. I'm just,
Monday, it was my understanding, they came in and there were people not there, so they turned around and left, and then they started back at 2:00.
so, and I'm assuming today's general sessions, so we can look at that and tomorrow and Friday. I know we're not gonna get 40 hours a week, even though we ought to be able to. I know there's gonna be things like a change of venue, bringing the case over here. I understand that much. I mean, I'm not totally ignorant to it, but it seems like to me, the biggest thing we can do to decrease this, I mean, I think the position we put in place last year is helpful, but what can we do? I get we can't police it, but what can we do to make that more efficient? Because that doesn't seem, I don't know, I mean, obviously, we're looking at 2 days, and I don't know beyond that, but is there anything we can look at to see what kind of efficiency we're getting out of the system that is in place, and what we can do potentially to, besides throwing money at it, of course, because I know that's getting ready to come up too?
Well, you've got so many things attached. You got the judge, you got the solicitor, public defender, and then you've got law enforcement. You've got to bring those 3 things together before that judge.
We all know that
See-
well in advance, though.
Right, and I can sit here and say, look, you know, the judge is only there 10 hours that week of our week of general sessions. But I don't know that the reason that is because the 3 other combinations have not put what needs to be before him.
Sure.
But I can tell you, when he's there, it's a steady movement of inmates coming through there to see cases.
Well, we gotta figure out how we can make that more often.
We need, I feel like he needs to be able to sit there longer. Now, where that breakdown is, I don't know there now.
How many weeks did we get this year of general sessions court?
It's on my desk.
I can't remember. I know this month we have one, and then April, the 1st of April will be our next.
But we're not getting one a month
No.
for the year. It's like, it's like 6 times.
6 or 7.
Yeah, 6 or 7, so it's about right.
So, a hundred, with 95 people to 100 people sitting in our detention center. I mean, we need to be as efficient as we can over there if we're only getting 6 or 7 weeks of court a year.
I think North Carolina runs in the same situation, you know, because all we get basically at North Carolina news. It seems
Well-
like that they're complaining about the same thing all the time. So I
But-
don't think it's anything unique, unfortunately.
This position that we hired, can he not work with the solicitor and the public defender to plead some of these cases out so they don't have to go to jail?
And that's what he's doing. That's exactly what he's doing, Ms. Burns, along with law enforcement, because those 3 parties, solicitor,
Right.
public defender, and law enforcement, they're all connected. He's going to all 3 and connecting the dots. But say the guy wants to plead, he's still got to go for that judge to do so. Correct, You see what I'm saying? Even though he's putting it together, and that's what I'm saying, when he's putting it together, I feel like that position is working well. Because he's putting them together, and when they're there, they're running a lot of stuff through. But the problem is, it's not enough hours.
Well, I look at it like this, and I'll probably get a slap on the hand for it, but, you know, it's the judge's courtroom. He's the one presiding over what takes place in there, and we have no ability to police what time they get there and when they start and what they do. You know, I wish we could, but if it's not going, smoothly, it's the judge's fault because they're the one in control of what's going on. I mean, they make the decisions, if I'm not right, about, you know, what time they start in court, taking recess, and how long the lunch is gonna be and everything else. So we can blame everybody else, but ultimately, the judge is the one that's in control over how much time they spend on the bench versus how much time nothing's going on. Now, if other people aren't prepared, that's the judge's position to make sure that they're prepared doing what they're supposed to be doing. If they allow it to happen, you know, go tell the judge what you think. That's about the only option you got. It ain't gonna get you very far.
Well, you know, we can't control the judge, so I guess we'll move on.
We can be nice and, ask.
Well, didn't you try that?
Yes, ma'am, and damn near went to jail myself. But I was nice.
So is it something you're gonna try again?
I don't mind. I don't mind. Especially now that we've got, I'm being serious now.
I know.
Especially now that we've got a new Chief Justice, not a new chief, we're getting a new Chief Justice, my understanding, a new administrative judge. Judge Birch was an administrative judge here, and if you had a problem, all you did was pick up the phone, call, and he'd talk to you, not a problem. I just wonder if the new chief administrative judge would be amenable to having a conversation. I can find that out this week if he's on the bench.
Okay.
Just let him know our concerns.
Right, he may not know.
I mean, you can't be demanding.
Okay, moving
Okay.
on.
So the only other item that, in the detention center was piggybacking on what Mr. Curtis said, you know, about them tearing the jail up or whatever, however you want to word it, you know, the building and grounds. I don't agree with just increasing the line item just because it's went over budget for the last several years, but I mean, I just wanted to bring it to your attention. You know, I looked back at the last 3 years, 21-22 year, the building and grounds was $8,698.26 over budget. Then, last year, it was $26,689.18 over budget. And then so far as of January this year, it's already $88,795.35 over budget. So, and I think, you know, with us looking at a new jail or something, I don't see any need in increasing that line item, but I mean, you know, that's for you to discuss. I just bring it to you.
Ms. Burns, I'll agree with the finance director. Some of these are unknowns. It could be an air conditioning unit that cost thousands of dollars that went out that they had to buy. I mean, you just don't know. You don't never know when a big ticket item may go down and you have to replace it. So we're just gonna have to sort of take it as it comes and address it as it needs to be.
Yep. So then on page 29, and this is basically kind of just informational, so whenever I don't know what your plans are about doing a budget retreat or whatever, but the coroner had came and met with me last month, and he wanted to discuss his departmental changes is in dealing with his transport. So I just went ahead and put that in there since he had already come to me, so I went ahead and had it in there for you.
He was requesting,
Yeah, basically what he's proposing is the two transports, we have a paramedic professional and S&S transport. What we have expended on them, he is saying that if we give him another personnel, that they would basically do most of the transporting, that we would no longer need those outside entities.
you may.
So he'd like to come and make his presentation.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
And personally, I do think that we should allow the department heads to come and have that day that they can come and talk with us and let us know what they want. and he can come back at that time.
Yes, yes. That's why I just wanted to put it in.
Hold my comment until then.
And I think basically, the only other item that I have is just on page 38, and it's the animal shelter. If you remember mid-year, we, Tim, he can help me on this. One of the personnel, we had a temp that we funded from the voucher program, so do we continue, you know,
Right, if y'all remember, with the population and the complaints we started receiving over there, and we wasn't doing the spay and neuter program at that time, y'all allowed me to utilize that money to bring in some
Part-time
part-time
help.
help there, y'all recall.
Well, if we get the numbers down, Mr. Eubanks, we won't need that much help. That's just my personal opinion, and, we're going to have a meeting in the near future to discuss that, with your work and what's taking place over there, and hopefully for the better.
Okay.
Thanks, sir.
and just to let you know, the road department has told us that one of the things they're gonna be asking for is on the driveways, the pipe. They had,
You have those numbers?
yep,
Do not.
they're shorthand.
In talking with Jeff, y'all know, ever since I've been here, we've installed a 20-foot section of driveway for the residents. And we've kind of kept that basically at cost, whatever the pipe and material cost us, we've kind of kept it around that. Problem we're running into now, we install 4-foot sections. We can no longer get 4-foot sections of concrete pipe,
All eight.
all 8 foot. So
make
that
it
means we
24.
got to add 24 feet of pipe now. The cost of that pipe and material now has gone from a 15-inch, 24-foot is $503. Well, the material and the pipe is $723. 18-inch is $863. Was it last year that they went up on the 20-foot driveway pipe? Y'all went from $350 to $500. And it just, y'all know materials and stuff, it's just steady climbing. Crush and run stone, I mean,
It's crazy.
everything has just gone crazy. But to break even, you're looking at going up to $723 for a 15-inch and $863 for an 18-inch driveway for the people now. Well, no, we don't even
That's
include
just
labor, that's just a pipe.
That's
and
right.
the
You're already
sand, plate,
paying them.
material to do it, that's no labor included in that.
You're already paying them.
That's just material. So, I mean, it has, y'all went from $350 to $500, and I'm like, wow.
That's no
a big
transport
jump.
either.
No. But now, I mean, just to break even, y'all gonna need to move up to that if you choose to do so, because we can no longer get 4-foot pipe.
Put that on our to-do list.
But they're getting an extra 4-foot driveway also.
Well, you ask the contractor to put in 24 foot of 8-foot pipe and see what it costs.
That's still a deal, I mean, if you get
It is.
someone, a contractor to come do it, I feel like, because this is just breaking even.
Are we wanting to continue trying to break even, or are we wanting to, try to put it at a price where it can either be beneficial to the department, or the person could hire a private contractor to do it?
And I felt like last time y'all did a little bit of that, going from $350 to $500, I'm like, that's good. But I'm telling you, in the last 2 years, it's just crazy how things is.
Maybe we
It's
could
just a
find out
pass-through.
But let me ask you a question. If somebody did hire a private person to do it, county has got to approve the work.
If they'll do it to our standard, then we won't, if they come in and do it themselves, and we tell them they install a plastic pipe, we will not touch that driveway because of damaging the thing. Now, if they install a concrete pipe like we do it, we'll work with them and all that. We have over the years. But normally when they hear and they think they can go out and hire a contractor to do it, and they see, they can't get it at that cheap. Now, they can get a plastic pipe, but that usually, and we've had them to do it over the years, stick in a plastic pipe but we won't touch that driveway because of damaging their pipe.
What's the weight limit on that plastic pipe?
Oh, they've got it now to.
Yeah, that double wall HQ pipe,
That's
you can
not
drive
cheap.
anything on
The
it.
issue is
Grader
the
blade
ends,
cuts it in.
the ends of those pipe, the grader trying to clean out, nipping that plastic, and a blade will go through it pretty easy, but as far as, they've got that pipe designed now.
It's pretty tough.
Heck, I wish we had it 28 years ago when we was installing galvanized, and now ended up replacing all that with plastic now.
Exactly.
I just almost think that it would be a healthy conversation to find out, to get more in line with what, a private contractor would be, maybe not quite as much, but get more in line with them, because I think pushing it over to the private sector would be beneficial to the road department and less work on them. That's just my thought process.
Well, and then if you're going, if we just had to increase this thing, so if you're going to increase it, you're not expecting anything to go down anytime soon. So you might as well, when you think about doing a price on it, you might as well go ahead and build so you don't have to turn around and do it again.
You could probably help me find a number on what a contractor would actually
Oh, yeah.
do a driveway for,
Yeah.
wouldn't you? Let us, and we can bring it back to finance
That'd be fine.
Okay,
with a recommendation.
all right.
It's the only other thing that I have noted to inform you about is speaking in regards to the fire departments. We've got two fire departments, which is Sand Hills Fire Department and Teals Mill. They've brought proposal for their budget to go from just for the fees just to be on, to end up being on all partials, not just structure partials. So Sand Hills Fire is their fee to be attached to all partials and also Teals Mill. I know you are already aware of Teals Mill. They've been trying to do this for a year now. And of course, I've always, I don't just say, okay, let's do it. I always want justification, required justification from them. What's the reason that you need more money? Teals Mill, their justification was that they want to put a new station in. And then also he did mention about a truck. And Sand Hills, they're wanting to actually be able to fund personnel for a certain amount of hours during the week. So that's, the reason that they're asking to generate more money. And then, of course, as you know, the town of Sherrall, they're redoing their contract. It's every 2 years. That's the other, fire department that I know that something's going on with budget.
I've had a discussion with Chief Cato at Sand Hill about this,
Mm-hmm.
and I think there's definitely a reason to look into it. There's a lot of land that don't have a residence on it or anything else, and a lot of their calls are associated with
Exactly.
brush fires and everything else. So, there's, instead of having to go up just on the people who live there, there's also a lot of land investors that, are benefiting from it also. So I think it's a reasonable.
Oh, yeah.
But now, shouldn't there be a public meeting where the public agrees to do this in that district?
Oh, yeah, they have to follow the guidelines.
Yes, ma'am. And do you know if anything's been done?
Yes, Teals Mill has already turned in all their paperwork to me. The only thing I haven't gotten from Sand Hills, and that's because I think it's this week that it's in the paper for their public hearing. And I always make sure, because I make them give me notes where it's been discussed, and the minutes, and the sign-in sheet, and then I make them give me notes where it has been passed, and then a copy of the public hearing, and they actually have to provide a sign-in sheet and the notes of the public hearing.
The Sand Hills now, Mr. Ford, that's yours entirely, right?
Mine and, Mr. Miller.
Mr. Miller's, okay. I feel like, I don't know what Gerald's health would be like then, but I feel like you'll attend.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good enough.
Is there anything else, Ms. Stanley?
No, ma'am, that's all that I have.
Okay. Now, this is just the first draft, Ms. Burns. We had, what, 7 last year?
I think 7, it was either 7 or 5, I think it was 7 the year before and 5 or 6, but yeah, they both are basically about,
better.
Five last year.
yeah.
Get better.
So, and so when do you think you'll get some updates from the state?
Well, they'll start coming in, the CPI, probably sometime in the middle of this month to the end of the month, we'll find out about the CPI. We found out part of it, the increase, I think it's like a 4%, or I think it was like 4% increase on the is the limitation, we hadn't got the population. One or the other, I hadn't got the other one yet. But of course, every Friday, we got the Friday reports, so,
You said departmental stuff is due tomorrow.
yes, sir.
You want to do we need to give her a week to get together with the interdepartmental stuff and then set our meeting, or when would you like to try to set one?
We'll set it after she gets.
Yeah, now last year, you remember last year what I done was I actually took the departmentals and then I implemented it in this. Do you want me to do that again this year? Okay, because it seemed, I thought that worked out good where,
So we want to give you time to
okay,
do what you need to do, and then we can set our meeting after that.
okay.
All right, so anything else? Nothing else on the budget, okay?
I'll move we
All
adjourn.
right. There is a need to go into executive session. Mr. Ruffner, if you'll let us know about that.
Yes, ma'am, Madam Chair. That's pursuant to South Carolina Code Section 30-4-70, subsection 8-1. That's for the discussion of employment, appointment, compensation, promotion, demotion, discipline, or release of employees. And as noted on the agenda, the committee may take action by voting upon that matter after exiting executive session.
Is there a motion to enter into executive session?
Yes, ma'am, I had a 5-minute bathroom break.
We just had a break,
I'm taking Lasix, honey, I can't help it.
2 minutes.
2 minutes, you got it.
You're on the clock. motion. During the time, no motions were made, no votes were taken. I think that's all we have to discuss today. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Unless you want to go ahead and make another day for the next meeting, you want to set another date.
Well,
We gotta give Michelle time. to
yeah,
get her
let's just
stuff
give
together.
Michelle time to get some stuff together, and we can schedule that
All right.
later.
I'll move, we adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and second that we adjourn. We are
Aye.
adjourned.